Stephon Castle is getting compared to a San Antonio Spurs legend, and it's all justified. The way he's been playing on the court, the expectations for him have continued to rise, and we are going to break it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all the great content that we have going for you. And I also want to give a big thanks to Josh and to Brian for holding it down while I've been gone. I had a graduation, and now I'm here, I'm back, and I'm ready to go. But Stephon Castle is the San Antonio Spurs' new version of Manu Ginobili. That is just a mouthful to say. Manu Ginobili, this guy, that guy, we know what he means for the San Antonio Spurs, and let's get into why that statement is 100% accurate. With the season winding down, the San Antonio Spurs don't have much to play for, but Stephon Castle does. Castle is still vying for Rookie of the Year, which he is the leader for right now, by the way, and I believe that he is going to win with all the accounts, especially with the way he's been playing over this last month and a half, honestly 2 months. We'll break that down here in just a moment. And while he probably isn't solely motivated by that, he's definitely showing what he can do. He puts up strong numbers primarily while having to play in the second unit with De'Aaron Fox and Chris Paul holding down the starting spots. And of course, we know, unfortunately, but fortunately, De'Aaron Fox is going to be getting finger surgery on Tuesday, which is going to sideline him for the rest of the season. Unfortunate because we get to miss time with De'Aaron Fox and it's an injury, but fortunate because we're not really going anywhere right now. Wemby's out. We're out of the play-in and all of that stuff. We're going to just get ready for the draft and the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So let's just keep ourselves, De'Aaron Fox, get him fully healthy so he doesn't have to play with a brace, and then we get to move forward from there. But that has put him in some rare company, with him recently having the highest scoring average in a 4-game span off the bench since Hall of Famer Manu Ginobili. Like Ginobili, Castle made the best of coming off the bench, putting up strong numbers as of late. He's averaging 20.5 points and 4.2 assists over his last 10 games, 17 and 4 since January 13th. That was the game against the Los Angeles Lakers, which really broke him and Devin Vassell out of a funk. Vassell at some points has been a little, but Vassell really from that point has played much better this season comparatively, and Stephon Castle has as well. This is a full breakdown of how he has been doing from that 17.4 points that we just talked about 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Right now he is 47% from the floor, 31 from 3. He's making about 1.5 a game, 73 from the line. You would like that up to 80 with how much he really can get to the line and put pressure on the defense. But that's what he's been doing over that stretch of the last 2 months. We know the 20 points, as he said, over the last 10 games. And then this has been him for the season. About 14 points, 3 rebounds, close to 4 assists, only 2 turnovers, 43% from the floor, 28 from 3. So since he's been playing more minutes, he has been getting to a situation and getting to positions where he has been playing much better basketball. And then we move on from there, but he is the new version of Manu Ginobili, and we're going to break that down here. For one, for most of Ginobili's career, he was the Spurs' secondary playmaker and thrived setting up teammates. Manu's stats for his career are right here. Or not for his career, sorry. This is Manu's stats from 2005 to 2011. 2005 was his first All-Star. 2011 was his last. So this is peak Manu Ginobili. Of course, he had great games, great moments after these just seasons here, but this is where you get peak Manu Ginobili, and you're going to see shocking comparisons to what we're seeing from Stephon Castle. As I said, Stephon Castle, 17 points, about 4 rebounds, 3-ish assists. Manu Ginobili, 17 points, about 4 rebounds, about 4 assists. Shooting 45% from the floor. He was 37 from 3. We know Manu Ginobili could knock that shot down. And he was 84 from the line. So the efficiency for Ginobili is higher. And no one's calling Stephon Castle Manu Ginobili because these numbers really don't even do him justice. We know what kind of savant he was with the ball in his hands. The unorthodox passing styles. He really kind of could remind you of Steve Nash. The way he could just the way he just saw the game a little bit differently, and I know Steve Nash would give you those unorthodox passes behind the back, and Ginobili had that in him. We know he had a flair for the dramatic in a different way. Stephon Castle does too. Castle's just a skywalker compared to Ginobili, who's going to hit you with the fancy pass, the nice Euro step, the dribble, the step back, and do all those things, but make winning plays and like hit bats out of the air because he's just that talented. But Manu Ginobili is just a guy who is beloved in San Antonio, and he should be because he was a phenomenal player, Hall of Famer, and deservedly so. But Castle isn't necessarily a pure point guard, or at least he hasn't had the opportunity to play one full time. But with De'Aaron Fox in the fold long term, he and Castle likely are going to be the tandem in the backcourt for the future. And so you're going to get kind of a new age De'Aaron Fox, Tony Parker, Castle, Ginobili. So with Tony Parker, he was a guy who could get downhill. He's going to take and make big game shots. I mean, obviously they lost the game, but he wasn't afraid in Game 6 to try to close out a finals in 12-13 to be like, hey, I don't care, it's Braun on me. We're going at him. We're going to attack him. We're going to get him with the midi. We're going to get him to the basket. We're going to do what we need to do. Tony Parker was not afraid of any moment. Unorthodox finisher at the basket, but he was efficient with that floater or the layup off the wrong foot or kind of what he needed to do knowing that he was shorter. And he had that downhill quickness, that really deceptive quickness. De'Aaron Fox has that downhill quickness too. Both of them were very good playmakers. And then you've got Ginobili being able to play that second fiddle star, can spell Tony Parker in that sense there, and Castle can spell Fox there in today's situation. But you don't need to bring up the ball every possession, but if you do need Castle to run an offense for 5 minutes, he's at the point in his career where he's learning that. I'm sure by year 3, year 4, especially with learning from the likes of Chris Paul this year, De'Aaron Fox, and you never know what other veteran point guards are going to be around him, and of course Gregg Popovich, whether he's not there or not, he's there or not, he's going to still have his hands and his DNA over the makeup of how the Spurs are. So Stephon Castle has a real chance to be what that Manu Ginobili role was there in San Antonio. He has the potential to be the third star. We know when you think of the San Antonio Spurs, you think of that 99 season, you think of David Robinson, the Admiral, you think of Tim Duncan, then you obviously think of players like Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson, goes on in there. So there's that team. And then you think of the Spurs, and you think of 03, you think of 05, you think of 07, you think of 2012, obviously they lost, you think of 13 or 14 when they won, 13-14 when they won. You think it's Manu, it's Ginobili, it's Parker, and then at the end it was that other guy we don't really like to mention. But it was the big three. And now you've got Wemby, and you've got Castle, and you've got Fox. Wemby's your Tim Duncan. Wemby's the generational player who is an all-time great defender, who has phenomenal offensive skills. Not as polished, obviously, coming in as Tim Duncan was, because Tim Duncan was a freak of freaks, but people don't like to talk about that. But you have Wemby as the Tim Duncan, the supernova that we have. You've got De'Aaron Fox and Tony Parker, the point guard who can do it all, who is clutch. And then you've got the X factor who can go win you games, go win you series, can be the best player on the floor on any given night. Stephon Castle, Manu Ginobili. You have that situation there where this could be something, a tandem that is going to be beautiful for the San Antonio Spurs for a long period of time. You've got Wemby, who's incredibly young, 21 years old. You have Castle, who's under 20, or I think he's 20 right now. He might be 19, 20, but he's in that range. He's under 21. And then you've got De'Aaron Fox, who's the old guy at 27. So he is still well in his prime and still got plenty of years left. And then you're still going to have Wemby and Castle growing here for the next decade, hopefully, as long as everything goes well contractually. But Wemby fills that role, Fox fills that role, Parker fills that role. We understand that. But as for Ginobili, Castle has already shown he is a relentless attack dog when there is daylight between him and the rim. If his three-point shot stabilizes, he could be a legitimate problem for opposing teams. Let me just kind of alter that sentence. He's already a legitimate problem for opposing teams. He is just going to be a nightmare for other teams if he does that. It's going to be too lethal when he does that, because right now they have to stop him from getting to the rim. He doesn't really even fully know the game. Like, he's still young, learning the NBA, and he's still doing what he's doing right now. LeBron's saying it. Fox is saying it. The coaching staff, everybody else is saying, like, people know how good Stephon Castle really can be. And not just on offense, we know he came into the league as, oh, this guy can play defense, let's see if his offense develops. And he's already grading out to be an above-average defender. I've got a graphic here that I'm going to show you guys. Perimeter isolation defense, A+. This is grading perimeter. This is by B-Ball Index, the advanced stats of it. This is as of March 11th, so a couple days ago. But A+, perimeter isolation defense. Already an elite defender on the outside. Ball navigation screens, B+. Getting around screens, getting on the top, below, whatever you need to do, he's already a B+. Off-ball chaser defense, A+. The hustle, great. He's not the best when it comes to picking people's pockets, C+. In passing lane defense. Okay, so as the IQ goes up, the passing lane's going to be better. He'll read the game more. That's just saying, okay, this is playing at a different speed than colleges. We know that. He's learning. That's only apt to go up. But essentially what he's saying is he can sit in that chair, he can slide left and right, and you're not getting by him without a fight. Off ball, you are not going to take a possession off. He is going to make sure that you are held accountable. And if you set screens on him, he is athletic enough that most of the time he is going to get around those screens. And you have to remember, all the guards in the league now are incredibly gifted with the basketball. It's not like they're just point guards. It's not like, not that John Stockton was incredible with the basketball, all-time assist leader for a reason. But he didn't have that elite quickness. He had an elite mind. You have all guys now who are score first, pass second. Dame can go get you 30, 40, 50, 60, like all these guys, and that's like the back half. We know what De'Aaron Fox can do. They can pass, but they can really get downhill. But Stephon Castle has the potential to be the third star. He has the potential truly to be the second star caliber kind of player on this roster. And with Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Victor Wembanyama, fill the rest of it out, they'll make whatever they need to work. Health aside, they will be phenomenal. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the Stephon Castle, Manu Ginobili comparisons. Not exactly play style, but more their role and their potential for a potential big three and their success to the San Antonio Spurs. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys for viewing this and being here with us, growing with this channel, and I hope to see you guys very soon.